Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming to our little conversation tonight. We've got our NASMM 2021 virtual conference right around the corner, March 10th to the 13th. And we thought it might be useful, especially for the newer NASMM members, to learn a little bit more about why all of you attend the NASMM conference every year. This is our first virtual one, of course, but we know that we can count on seeing you and several hundred other NASA members, but we know you've attended almost all of the last probably 5 to 10, 15 in some cases, years. And we thought it would be good if you could just express to us what makes you come every year? What drives you? What makes you, when that, marketing comes out and the registration form goes up online, what makes you press submit and sign up and come? Barbara, what is your story?
Okay, so I'm like, this is like my 14th conference or something. And it's like-minded people and thought. We all love what we do, and that's why we do it. But you get to talk to other people like you, because we're all, you'll excuse me, Mashugada.
So you feel like it's you're coming home to a language that everyone speaks the same language.
Yep. Everybody's like my sisters and brothers. Yeah, it's wonderful.
And some speak that language more articulately than other, in terms of like the language of our industry. And so one of the things I always love is coming to conference and learning from all the other senior move managers that I admire so much. Often they're doing the seminars, so I learned so much from that. Or the side conversations and things, because you can do that in chat and other events that are planned for the virtual conference. Also, I still recall that first time I came to conference 7 years ago, and I met Mary Kane Jeffer, and I've been going to conferences, seminars, trade shows, etc., for literally decades, and I was blown away by the level of education and also the camaraderie. People are very open, and I look forward to it every year. I kind of need it every year. I need it 3 times a year, but we just get it once.
I have to say, I so agree, Marty. I feel when someone asks me that question, I go right back to the first conference that I ever went to. And I was so unsure and I was new in the business. And I remember feeling like I could just take a deep exhale, let out this breath, because it was like, oh my gosh, all these other people do what I do, and they have the same struggles that I have, and they, love the same things, like you were saying about our business. But, they say no man is an island, no senior move manager is an island. And this, conference is the place where you can see those other people who do what you do, and you connect with them. I mean, that's irreplaceable, really.
I was so excited with my first one that when I got off the airplane, I was walking around the airport saying, "Are you NASMM? Are you NASMM?" And I was talking to all these strangers.
How many years?
And then I found someone who was on the shuttle who was NASMM. And we roomed together the next year. And one of the things about the friendships that you develop, I've actually traveled on trips with some of the move managers. I've actually gone to visit several others and stayed at their houses. And they've come to visit me and stayed in my house. And what's interesting is the minute we land in the airport together, or the minute they enter my front door, we are talking NASMM and move management. It is our language, and we don't stop the entire weekend. And the conference is great. And I've been coming since 2003, and I look forward to seeing my friends and meeting new ones.
I think that's really the important part is, you always talk to people and they say, you'll make lifelong friends, and you go, oh yeah, right. Sure I will. But you do, honestly, you get people you trust, and you can pick up the phone. I can't tell you the number of times we've picked up the phone when we've had a problem and said, we don't know what to do about this. And heaven help us. I mean, we've had more support from people that we've met. So they know our face, we know their face, they know the BOA. But it's really a fabulous.
We all know the BOA.
A little bit all over the place. but it's a great way to connect. And that connection, although we can't have conference 2 or 3 times a year, that connection stays during the year. And it's just not only at conference, but afterwards. That's where the true test of the strength, I think, of an association comes, is you're together for a short while, whether it's in life or virtually, but it's what you do with it after. That's always so amazing.
And don't you feel like the older we get, the conference rolls around a lot faster?
Don't go into this, older you get, I'm having issues.
Yeah. I mean, it just is crazy. I feel like it's, that time between conferences is shrinking. And, luckily for Zoom and everything, we can even keep that connection going so much stronger throughout the year. So.
Or for you and Jennifer, it is all year long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're always like 6 months, in a different, it's like time travel. We're always 6 months ahead.
I actually got to meet my 2 competitors at the conference, and I had not known them before. And now we are really fast friends and have dinner together and travel together.
Oh,
That's great.
We are collegial competitors.
It's great. But for anybody that's looking at this, you really have to look at, you get business out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody has to, keep in mind, bottom line, it's so worth, the time that the money and the time investment, it is so worth it. And they're not paying me yet, right?
I agree with you, Barbara. I mean, we've made some great friends. Even when we couldn't afford to go, we figured out how to go. At the very first start, the educational part of it was wonderful because every class you just couldn't take in enough. And now we're at the point where the education part isn't quite as much as important as it is the people we're meeting, and the friends we're making, and the contacts we're making, both business-wise as well as just bouncing things off of, like, Karen, you said, you call somebody up and you say, here's what we're facing. What suggestions do you have? And another set of eyes and ears are always great.
Talk to me a little bit about the education, learning from both inside and outside of NASMM. That, the faculty doing the sessions are both inside and outside. And what are your thoughts about that?
Well, it's remarkable from our industry partners how, learning how to pack professionally from Wheaton Beacons.
Great.
Something like, and understand something like their split, which can help so much with inventories and division of assets, especially when they're not getting along.
Yeah.
They're just so wonderful to learn from. You learn their vernacular, have a greater understanding of what's out there.
Yeah. Tina, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest difference from going years ago first and how it's evolved is the education you get. Not only it's wonderful information, but from your colleagues, you're learning things, not only ways to improve your business, whether you're automating and that kind of thing, but then you learn specific things about what we do, what someone else does, and how many similarities they are with around the country, but then also just little things and even large things that just make it so much better for you when you go home. I have a smile on my face on my way to conference and a big smile on my face on my way home.
Well, the wonderful thing is when you're at these seminars and you have a question can come to you like an hour after you're on the plane.
Oh yeah.
But everybody's so collegial and gets along so well, they can just call that person and just, what, I was thinking about this. What about this? Could I do that? And it's just very open and wonderful. You can really drop the facade.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that everyone is so approachable, and because we're all in the same industry, we're all coming together looking for solutions, and that's what makes the community so special. With the education pieces, I have been forced to dig deeper in my business with a lot of the sessions that I've attended. One of which, Jim, you taught. I still remember, being forced to really look at my profitability in a way that I just wasn't before. And so so many of those classes, have paid back time and time again in growing my business.
Well, that's great to
Important
hear.
part of the learning.
Sorry, we
It's
had a
not-
member tell us not too long ago that she came back from the conference where we talked about pricing, and she came home and increased her rate by like 30%. and had the best year she ever had.
Mm.
And she said when she looks, by a sizable margin, the best year she ever had. And she said, the cost of that conference, even with the plane fare and the hotel and the conference registration, she said she made that back within probably a week to 10 days after returning from the conference.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
that's another wonderful thing about this being virtual is I'm bringing 6 of my staff with me, or 5 other staff members with me.
oh, wonderful.
I don't have to pay hotel. I don't have to pay meals, airfare, none of it.
Yeah.
I can have wine and I don't have to drive.
You didn't have to try before, Barbara.
Well, can I
Do you
say
have any
something?
thoughts about it, Sharon Cardinal?
Well,
You
I
come
think-
every year, and let me just tell you, she is such a loyal gal, and she brings Jennifer and me Louisiana Pecans. And we
Oh,
look so forward to those. And you know what? She already sent us our batch for the virtual conference. And they've been gone, Sharon. They've been gone for weeks.
That's what we do in Louisiana.
That's how Louisiana rolls, right?
It's amazing to me how everybody's waiting for that last day because we find out where the next conference is. And we're so excited to start planning for the next conference. We just love everything about it. I think it's helped our business grow faster, more efficiently. And, it's wonderful. We love it.
That's good to hear.
Well, I want to come back to Louisiana, to New Orleans for conference.
yes, please.
Wow.
That
That
was
works.
I think we all could say yes to
I
that.
ask Jennifer every year.
Send me your address.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I was just trying, we've got your bottom dollar in mind, so that's why we go where we go.
who knows? It might roll around again. But
Yeah,
we had a great time. Was that in 2010?
2009. That was my first one.
Yeah.
but I do kind of want to just, maybe to Jim and to Sean, can you speak a little bit to how, what you've taken back from the conference that you were able to, take to your own business and the difference that it made for you guys? Jim, you want to start us off?
Sure. Yeah. For me, every year when we go to conference, one of the things that I'm trying to figure out is who's doing stuff better than we are. And when they're doing stuff better than we are, then I want to try to figure it out how to do it like they are. And so a number of things that have come up over the years, one of them, you mentioned the pricing concept. I remember that lecture. I think the guy was from somewhere on the East Coast, maybe Cornell, and he talked about pricing. So then we went back and we started implementing pricing changes. We talked about quoting. So how do you quote? And it's funny because I was trying to figure out, should we change our quoting system? I reached out to Chantel, who did a presentation a number of years ago. And as you mentioned, she very graciously sat down with me and we went through her quoting strategy even years later. So quoting or business management or advertising, almost every aspect of what we do, we've picked up bits and pieces from people who do it better. And we've tried to implement those better strategies to make us more effective and more efficient. And I have absolutely no question that what we've done is a direct result of what we've learned from our national conferences. And I also think that that's why I feel so committed to giving back and to doing periodic presentations, because I feel like we've gotten so much. I just want to give back some of that in return.
Sean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have a confession. Here's my confession. I have such a difficult time revving up to come to conferences, even though I'm really a people person. I get so caught up in doing the work that the conference comes, and even though every year has been transformational and it's brought us to a next level, I'm kind of like, oh man, I got so much work. I don't even know if I had time to go to this. And every single time I have gone to conference, it has been my opportunity to come and not work in my business, but work on my business to people who are so much better at it than I am. And every single time, I'll just say this, every year I've come to NASMM, the next year, that year I become more profitable. every year I've come to NASMM, and it's connected to being around a bunch of lovely people like this, laughing and connecting. No doubt, we're gonna all miss connecting and drinking coffee and doing all that stuff. But I'll just let you know, those inspirational, those talks, they're just practical have been for me. Just I can just say, just going to Jim's talk, then going to the QuickBooks talk, going to Marty's talks. I'm so bad with the issue of money that I'm like, gosh, I got to do something with this, and I should go to into this session. Obviously, I don't feel as bad. I get steps to take the next steps to move into, being more just proactive in that. And then, things like project management. I'm just not administrative. I'm just not. I'm really intuitive. What's the next thing? And so I've gone to numerous project management sessions. How to build a CRM. Over the last 2 years, that CRM, I mean, it's rocked our business. I'm actually following up people in proactive ways. I'd get up in the morning and it'd be like, oh, let me see, where's the wind blowing? Who should I go see today? And, oh, there's a real science to this. And so, so each of these things I've walked away with this ability to bring it from all my notes, bring it back to our people, place that there, and then see it grow. And so I think I can just say this as a guy who just gets caught up in just working in it. The conference is an invitation for me to work on my business amongst pros. So I want to. So thank you.
So often too, there are seminars that I want to go to that are at the same time. And so that's why I love that I can buy the recordings of the whole conference. I mean, it's just wonderful, just wonderful.
Well, that's our 12th year, I think, a 12th or 13th year. Jennifer, it was you called Jan and I'll never forget. We got the call from Jennifer. And why don't you come to this conference? And we're like, I don't know if we can afford it. And then it all worked out. And just simply, I just can't tell you, we would not be in business today if it wasn't for NASMM and for the professionalism that you've got given to us. It gives us a roadmap for the next year. And so thank you.
It's wonderful. And, I was just thinking too, in terms of education and what we learn, one of the reasons I love the recordings is because honestly, during this year of COVID, where, especially when we've had surges here in Los Angeles, that we're now famous for, things have been a bit slower. We schedule time with our staff members to listen to those webinars, and they love them. So it's really nice to be able to impart that knowledge to them as well as pick it all up at conference. I love that.
Well, and with the virtual conference this year, all of the sessions are streamed live until the end of May. So there's that added benefit of not actually having to purchase the recordings because they are going to be live streamed or streamed. That is after the conference for a couple weeks. So
that's huge. That's that allows you, an attendee, to take in like 3 times the amount of content that you would at an in-person conference, because I agree with Marty. I mean, sometimes it's so hard to choose which session to go to. And so sometimes I try to go to half of one and half of the other to squeeze them all in. So that's awesome, Jennifer. I hadn't thought about that, but I'm totally going to do that.
Yeah. It's music to our ears when there's too much good content and you can't decide.
Yeah.
That's the highest compliment. So thank you so much.
Well, and that's what blew me away my first time when I was first at the conference.
Well, I think that's it for tonight, guys. We can't thank you enough for sharing why you come to conference every year, why you're excited about this next frontier, the virtual conference. Hopefully we will all be together in person in the same room soon. Yes, everyone soon. So thanks for taking the time today, and perhaps this will help someone who's really not sure what the conference is about and the value there. So again, always helping fellow NASMM members, and we really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.